number one in the hood, G.
Growing up, my parents, they brought home a DVD one day. Now, what was on the DVD was a TV show, and that TV show was... Now, if you're not familiar with Family Guy, which is a fucking lie, you are. Family Guy is about a wacky, dysfunctional family. Basically like a family sitcom akin to All in the Family. And also the main source of inspiration would be Simpsons, but that's another thing. The Griffin family represents blue-collar family lifestyle, with a dad from Boston, blue-collar worker guy, just trying to support his family and trying to connect with his family.
You can't keep getting away with it!
And having trouble doing so. Peter Griffin has definitely earned his place with a lot of cartoon sitcom dads at this point. He's one of the top ones, if not the top one. Then you got his wife Lois. Just basically a typical housewife, always caring, always just warm and always there for Peter, especially when he does really stupid shit. She always is the center of reason and always tries to be patient with him. You know, most of the time. And, you know, that really shows that how committed she is and how much in love they are. Then you got Meg Griffin, an unpopular teenage girl who tries to survive high school the best she can, trying to make a name for herself and trying to be the best that she can be. You got Chris Griffin, who, as the show goes on and a couple episodes are focused on him, definitely has some hidden talents and exceeds certain people's expectations along the way. Then you got the absolute scene stealer, Stewie, the baby of the household and also an evil genius hell-bent on eliminating his mom. For some reason he's British also, I don't get it.
Birmingham is a fucking shithole! I hate the fucking place! Shut the fuck up!
And you got Brian Griffin, the family dog who also talks for whatever reason, serving as Peter's conscience at first, you know? Trying to help him out through difficult stuff. Brian comes off as a support system for a lot of characters, but also has a lot of depth to him. He seems kind of like also a writer's insert to some extent. There's some stories focusing on addiction with him and also therapy.
I think we've stumbled on the root of your problems. You have abandonment issues. You need to confront your mother and deal with it.
Twisted fucking bitch. That's my mother we're talking about.
And unmended wounds, and it really does get deep somehow. Now, I describe these characters only based upon what I saw in the first couple seasons of Family Guy. As the show goes on, they get extremely unlikable. Lois becomes really just an empty shell of what she used to be. Brian just becomes a straight up hypocrite and the exact opposite of what he was before, coming off as more pretentious than anything.
How can you not like me? Okay, I'll tell you. You are the worst person I know. You constantly hit on your best friend's wife. The man pays for your food and rescued you from certain death, and this is how you repay him? And to add insult to injury, you defecate all over his yard. And you're such a sponge. You pay for nothing. You always say, oh, I'll get you later, but later never comes. I could forgive all of that, all of it, if you weren't such a bore. That's the worst of it, Brian. You're just a big, sad, alcoholic bore.
Stewie later drops the whole eliminating his mom thing and just, well, just does other stuff, I guess. And Chris and Meg kind of become just one note. Barely getting any interesting episodes with them. And then when we do have an episode with them, it's not that great. Family Guy was created by Seth MacFarlane, who is very, very talented. He created the Ted series, he created the Orville series. And also what I wanted to talk about today is another show that he created, American Dad.
What's so great about living? You know when I'm happy? For about 5 seconds in the morning when I first wake up. Before I remember who I am and what my life is all about. Anxiety, disappointment, diarrhea more often than not. I don't know if there's an afterlife. But who cares? Nothingness couldn't be any worse than this meaningless march through my empty days.
I don't think he's coming down.
American Dad pretty much says the same premise. You know, a dysfunctional family, but this time an upper middle class family. A little bit more well off. Stan Smith, our main character, works for the CIA. He's super conservative. He's a rash, kind of meat-headed individual, always trying to do what's best for his family, but the way he sees it. He comes off as pretty selfish.
While you're serving me, how about a little dollop of horseradish on the side?
This is my horseradish. All of it.
But in the end, he does follow through and tries to understand his family a little bit more as like the final lesson throughout like each episode. Then you got Francine, the all-American housewife kind of thing. She's super supportive of Stan. She's the homemaker pretty much. When the first season happens, she's just pretty much just that. But as the show goes on, there's plenty of spotlights for her to shine, especially when they add in like little touches and interesting backstory to her. It's kind of funny.
I've been in a few fights in my day. About 200, maybe 250. Yeah! You're dead, Becky!
Then you got Stan's daughter, Haley, who is pretty much the exact opposite of Stan. Haley is more liberal, while Stan is more conservative, which, you know, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really know these terms that well, and I really don't care. She butts heads with Stan all the time, but, you know, there's still a level of respect between them two. They do love each other. Stan does have memories of his little girl, but unfortunately they just go different paths in life. Then you got Stephen Anita Smith, pretty much a weak nerd who tries to live up to his father's approval and respect. Steve does have his moments though, where he does gain Stan's respect, but what we see at first, he's pretty bad at it. Then you got the show stealer, Roger Smith. Roger is an alien that saved Stan's life before the show began. And because of that, Stan lets Roger stay at his house. The thing is though, obviously nobody can find out that the Smiths have an alien in their attic. So he's pretty much confined to the house until Roger discovers that he can wear disguises. But also they kind of retcon that a little bit, but we don't need to dive into that at all. And last but not least, we have Klaus, a German athlete who has his brain switched with that of a fish for basically no reason. So, yeah.
I'm not very much of a man!
Fucking introduction's done. Jesus Christ, I thought that would be quicker. With these shows being pretty similar in setups, I wanted to talk about which one is better. Again, this is strictly just opinionated. You know, you could disagree. Obviously, you don't have to side with any of it. You can just enjoy both. The thing is though, I grew up with Family Guy, and also I started watching American Dad when it hit its like third season. Which show is better? And that's what we're going to talk about today. If you don't mind, if you're interested, if not, fuck you. Now, first, let's talk about the characters from each show. I won't do the fucking introductions again. Let's compare some of their counterparts here. There's quite a bit of similarities between these cast of characters. Now, unfortunately though, there will be a little bit of a handicap, at least in my opinion. For me, Family Guy kind of feels like the Peter, Brian, and Stewie kind of show. You know, Lois definitely has some solo adventures and solo stories. They're kind of not that interesting, to be honest with you. And obviously, like I said before, Meg and Chris, they really can't carry their own episodes. Meanwhile, the Smiths, they all kind of feel fleshed out. They all have their certain personalities. Like, I feel like American Dad's characters can stand on their own and carry their own episodes if they really wanted to. Except for Klaus. Take, for instance, like, the comparison between Steve Smith and Chris Griffin. Steve can carry a lot of his own episodes. Whether they just be coming-of-age stories or just parodies of other things. Like the independent movie episode or the escape from the high school, also mixed with the Warriors. And the whole subplot with the cat. There's a lot of interesting, memorable stuff with it. But with Chris, it's kind of hard to narrow down. There is the episode where he tries to fit in a rich school, or what else? Or where he tries to ask out a girl, or he tries to become popular at school. It's just, for me, I got more enjoyment out of Steve's adventures than I did Chris's. Now, Peter Griffin and Stan are vastly different. Stan and Peter are pretty similar sometimes. The thing is, though, with Peter's adventures, they all just, it's either a chicken fight, or it's some mystery that he has no part of being in, or it's just some random shit. With Stan, he challenges his family, and they challenge back, or it has something to do with a CIA mission or invention. Stan is like a meathead, a rash individual who jumps right into it, not reading the instructions. That's the personality type he has. With Peter, it comes across, more stupid, and that is explained away because of a thing he has. He's mentally... he's not there.
So, as you can see, you are just over the line of mental retardation.
Don't you mean just under the line?
The day I'm corrected by a
When it comes to Francine and Lois, again, it's not really any competition. I don't think it's controversial saying that Francine is more likable and more interesting than Lois. Lois nowadays comes off as, sure, like a flawed individual, but sometimes it's just the same old, she's drunk, or she's selfish, or she just likes groceries. Shit gets old super fast. With Francine, at least it's something different. We get a lot of backstory with her, and we get a lot of interesting stories with her. We get to know her extended family a little bit better too. She does come from a rich family background, but she didn't grow up with them. She grew up with her foster parents. And why that happened, it makes for a really tragic but funny episode. And then you got Meg and Haley, which Haley is also kind of a punching bag.
Cake. Do you realize how many innocent cows were or as you say, milked to make that cake?
Shut up, Haley. You can say that again. It'll be nice to have a pretty girl around the house for a change. I meant a pretty younger girl. Don't get mad at me, it's called makeup. Haley, are you wearing makeup? You look like a whore. Yeah, chokehold, you miserable bastard thief! That's all you got? Huh? You're gonna die in my arms. What do you think of that? Want to see yourself die? Come on, let's go watch you die. Oh, it's you.
But she doesn't really take that much abuse from the family. She will stick up for herself, and she will fight back. With Meg, she's just a punching bag.
Hi, Dad.
That's it. And even then, the interesting stuff that we have with her, it's not enough, unfortunately. So yeah, Haley wins this one. I find it difficult comparing Stewie and Roger. Both are flamboyant, but for me the similarities kind of just stop there. Roger isn't particularly smart, and depending on what persona he has, can dictate where the story goes. With Stewie, it's more or less he's an evil genius who creates a lot of interesting stuff and stuff that can make for a whole plot. For me, it's kind of a hard one because I think Stewie takes the cake on this one. He definitely earned his place in one of the iconic animated characters. Roger is too, but I just feel like Stewie comes off as more likable than Roger usually. I mean, don't get me wrong, Roger is pretty funny, but I feel more of a connection to Stewie than I do Roger, so unfortunately Stewie gets that one. And then you get Brian and Klaus, which it's kind of weird. A lot of good episodes of Family Guy are like the Road 2 episodes. They make for interesting, fun episodes. But with Klaus, Klaus is sort of just a random character.
The whole deal.
Usually he's upset because the family either forgets him or he really isn't taken seriously. And with the episodes he has featured in, he kind of, it serves the story well, but he's not really particularly strong. He does have some funny moments which I like.
Francine, wanna watch me play Elden Ring? I'm an astrologer, but like a battle astrologer. He's very cool, very good at stars.
And usually his reactions are pretty funny.
Do I look like the kind of fish who would wear red shoes when he someday has the body of a man? Open the closet, please, Doug.
I lost the key. Listen.
Open the closet!
I didn't take your stuff!
Open the closet, Doug!
I swear
Open
to
it
you!
or I swear I'll shoot!
Please!
But Brian is more iconic for me.
Hey. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You gotta hit DVD and then menu and then select. Yeah. Yeah, the DVD needs to be face up when you put it in. Uh-huh. You should be able to see the words Mr. 3000. Yeah. Still nothing? Is it plugged in? Okay, so plug it in. Okay. You got it? Okay. All right. No problem. All right. Love you too, Jilly Bean. Okay. What?
Nothing. I didn't say anything.
I'd still have to give it to Brian.
No, I won't, Ma. I'm gonna be a comedian.
You're a fucking loser!
Now, comedy is subjective. You know, you might disagree with this one. This might not make that much sense, but I wanted to talk about this aspect of it. Family Guy is known for their cutaway gags. And, you know, there's a lot of fun jokes to be had in those cutaway gags. But the thing is, for me, sometimes it feels like they're reliant on the cutaway gags. Which, you know, it's their staple, but after a while, it's just like, okay, cool, random stuff is funny. American Dad tried to do the cutaway gag in the first episode, I believe. And for me, it also kind of felt like, oh, just like Family Guy. But after a while, American Dad did away with the cutaway gags. They focused more on the surreal.
He's pigs! He's pigs!
I gotta restrain this one. He's on to us.
This isn't an ambulance! It's a goddamn ambulance!
Me personally, I just love the stupid moments in American Dad. You know, when you cut to like Klaus crying in the cupboard, or Steve randomly just singing R&B, or like his off-camera reactions. He's just yelling. You know, that's for some reason I just love that. I love it.
Oh my gosh! Thank you so much.
Did someone just drop a house on me?
Someone made this comparison one time. I was in a comment section. It was relating to South Park and Family Guy. That you remember the jokes from Family Guy, and you remember the episodes of South Park. Now for me, replace South Park with American Dad. I can remember certain episodes with most of their jokes from American Dad. With Family Guy though, sure, I can remember the episode's plots, but the jokes, they're really just interchangeable at the end of the day. Again, it's extremely subjective, but for me, I have to give it to American Dad. For me, that's more or less my taste in comedy. I just feel like American Dad sets itself up for jokes way better than Family Guy does. Family Guy, I don't want to say it's lazy, but I feel like American Dad's more rewarding in its jokes. Family Guy can have a lot of fun episodes, especially with the Star Wars episodes. Recently, they've been doing a lot of parody episodes, which can be fun, but also, you can do something else. Road 2 episodes, anything with Stewie and Brian is just amazing. And the two-parter event episodes, those are usually pretty good too. For me though, American Dad really did come into its own. When it did its own thing and was shameless about it. I feel like a lot of fun I get from American Dad comes from how everything sets up. Like with Roger, for instance, he has different disguises, different personas because of those disguises. So it sets itself up for pretty much anything to happen with its personas. You could have someone like Ricky Spanish. Causing havoc wherever he goes. Or like the cop. Remember the cop?
Once upon a time, there was a little alien who went to the police academy. Na na na, na 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 na. Had to blow up the kitchen, Franny. It goes real well with this thing I'm imagining.
Fucking elbows that guy's head and makes it explode. That's crazy. I feel like I get more enjoyment and more fun out of American Dad because I like most of the characters. That's what I kind of look for in these television shows. I'm not looking for carbon copies of the main character or carbon copies of another show that was successful. I'm looking for how they write these characters and how well they stand on their own. For me, I get more fun out of American Dad than I do Family Guy. Again, that's just my opinion. Like, don't get me wrong, I still hold Family Guy close and dear to my heart. It's a show I grew up with, and it's a show I won't be forgetting anytime soon. But I feel like American Dad, I prefer it a little bit more. And I don't want to say that you have to be at this level intellect to watch American Dad to actually understand and like it. It's just horseshit. But I feel like, again, I just get more enjoyment out of it. So that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching me ramble for however long this took. Yeah, I hope you like it. And if you disagree, please let me know, you know? Yeah. Thanks for staying around. I love you. Bye.